Hello everyone, TLSG here, back again with the Marvel Snap live stream. I hope that you guys are having a fantastic day. I hope that you had great holidays. I think this is the first time that I'm live since before Christmas or whatever holiday that you celebrate. I hope that you guys have been having a fantastic time. I'm so glad that you guys are here with me today. So thank you guys for being here. We have Trainer, we have Astros, we have Ryan God, Wodar, Joe. We have Harry, Timothy Core, Kappa Mikey, Shimdaga, Harry, and Ben, and thank you guys for being here. And then we have a few more jumping in. We have Jet, we have Slade, we have Max5, we have Nivan, Dave, Valentino, Afterlife. You guys are fantastic. For this not being a very structured e-style gamer, for this not being a very structured or planned live stream, I appreciate you guys. I'm still trying to get back into the rhythm of finding that consistent stream. And so, Trainer Red, you asked about Jeff's recent video. I haven't watched it. I don't know the context behind it, but I don't know. I don't know that it doesn't seem like that would be the right course to go about addressing an issue with somebody's content. From years in HR, I always think of praise publicly and then criticize behind closed doors.
Hey, welcome. Took you long enough.
That seems like it would be very similar. Nivan, thank you so much for joining us as a channel member. And Valentino, we are playing a Super Skrull deck today. What are you confused about as far as how he works? And then Kappa, you said honestly best to stay away from drama from other creators. Yeah, exactly. We're just here to enjoy the game and the people that love it. I agree. I don't know the context behind it. I haven't watched the video or really seen too much, so I don't know. But we are going to be playing a little bit of our, it's just a base Patriot Ultron deck list, but it has the tech card of Super Skrull. And so let's jump over into the deck explanation really quickly. And so the card itself is I guess not used very much just because of how expensive it is. I think it is a really good tech card. I think it has a lot of utility when he is useful. He is very, very useful. And so he has the ongoing ability that he has all the ongoing effects of the enemy cards. And so if you can play this in a Mr. Negative game, or if you can play this in a mirror match, it gives you their version of those ongoing cards, and then you have a slight advantage over what they do. And so a lot of times he's just going to be a dud card. Yep, he is pull 5. I don't think he's necessary for this deck, but I do think he is very strong. Whenever he works, I think he works very well. And then Nivan, I love the channel. Excited to be a member. Name is pronounced. Oh, Nevin. I'm so sorry for the pronunciation. I'm glad you corrected me. And then Shimdaga, is that a dog on the sofa? It is. Let's switch back over. It's a dog on the sofa, and then there's actually one behind me as well. And then we have a third one running around. And then XE Leon, what's the replacement for Super Skrull? I'd say if you don't have Super Skrull, which most people don't, you could take him out, and I would probably take out something like Mr. Sinister and kind of lean in more towards the 1-cost cards. So I'd add in a Squirrel Girl, and I would add in a Khazar, just as another buff component. I think there'd be arguments either way. Sometimes Super Skrull is not going to do anything. Sometimes Khazar is not really going to do much for you. But I think that'd be a decent replacement as far as like this core build goes anyways. And so we are going to take it back out. We're going to add in the Super Skrull. Then we'll jump into oh, wow. The wrong screen. I took out the cards. I was building the deck and I was on the puppy screen anyways. So we are going to put back in the Super Skrull, and then we'll jump into a couple of games. while I catch up on some chat. It's been a while since I've been able to do consistent live streams, and I've missed doing them, and so I am excited to be able to jump back into a couple of games. And so let's go ahead and jump over into a couple games. I don't think the 6,000 price is too high. You said you don't think the price is too high, or you do think it is, Ben? Does Super Skrull take all the ongoing effects only on that specific location? 5, it's the whole thing. And so if they have a Iron Man here and a Mystique here, Super Skrull would take both of those abilities. And so when he works, it is very hard to combat against him. I shouldn't have skipped Super Skrull had known you're going to make a deck with it. I don't know. Super Skrull at 6 cost that is a hard price to swallow. And if we're not in a meta that uses any ongoing cards, it is kind of difficult to find a spot for him. Super Skrull can't take my like, but you can. Thank you so much, Harry. And that's a good reminder. If you guys do enjoy the content, or if you're going to enjoy the stream, then make sure to give it a like. It helps the algorithm. It helps it reach a wider audience. And then the little Pikachu. Hey, TLSG, have any change about next battle pass? Or has there been any changes? Not that I've seen so far. So far, I think that is still the card that's going to come up next. And so it should be very, very strong. Wait, hold up. Cyclops. Yeah, we do have Cyclops in this list. I finally put him in a list, and Shocker is another really underutilized card that I was able to kind of lean in on. And so they snapped. If it is a Galactus deck, I don't have debris. I don't have a way to clog up their board. Is my only concern here, because of the cards that could go into Throne Room. I think I'm actually going to retreat out of this one. Galactus deck really... Oh, I'm not in the right screen. Oh, it's a rough start. It's a rough start, guys. There we go. Now we're in the right screen. But Galactus decks, unless I added in a debris, which I could take out the Onslaught and add in a debris just as a somewhat kind of counter to Galactus decks. But otherwise, if they do get Galactus to go off, there's no way that I can really combat or stand up to the high power push that they can do. Latverian, great videos, man. Thank you so much. I'm so glad that you're enjoying them. And then Super Skrull should be good against Zabu. I think it could be. I think it could be good against or with Zabu. And then I think sometimes they might not go with that ongoing path, still Valentino. So they might go with the discount to be able to do a Wong and a Shuri. And then our Super Skrull wouldn't be as useful against that kind of deck. And so I don't know. I think it really depends how it progresses. Joe Boy, how's it going? I'm so glad that you're here. I hope that you're having a fantastic day so far. Been only in Patriot? Yeah, for Cyclops and Shocker, only in Patriot. Otherwise, a lot of the X-Men are vanilla cards, and I don't know. I'm glad. I like being able to use Cyclops, but he seems to be a vanilla card. Seems like the wrong call. I don't think he's ever going to get changed, but I would like him to have an ability someday. Zabu will break the meta. Slade, I think he will. He is going to create some really kind of crazy archetypes that will allow you to push so much value onto the board, similar to how Sarah on 5 can just create insane value. Only he's going to reduce it by 2 for particular cards. I think it is going to be very hard to compete against him. I think there will be ways to do it. I don't think he will feel completely polarizing, but I do think he'll be very, very strong. Joe, appreciate your videos and positivity, TLSG. Hope you're having a fantastic day so far. So far, my day's been going pretty well. I appreciate that. As a content creator, you guys enjoying the content is really all that I could ask for. And so I am glad that you're enjoying the content. So it's another Electro ramp, which could lean into Galactus at some point. Yeah, with the Doc Ock, that looks like they will likely target New York. With Galactus, if they snap here, then we'll go ahead and retreat out. So in this meta, something that I've noticed more than other metas is that there are certain matchups that you fold to, and sometimes you're going to have to retreat 2, 3, 4 times in a row. And it doesn't necessarily mean the list is bad. Before, you could really get a feel for the list in the first like 5 or 10 games. Now, depending on your matchup, maybe not. So it's not a Galactus deck. It's a Electro Ramp leader. So maybe it's a Leech deck. Was Wave a season pass card? She was a season pass card in the beta, Valentino, but she's available in pool 3 now. Super Skrull could counter if he plays Null, but I don't think there's a big chance that they do that. But if they did, it'd be really beneficial. We could do Wasp and Brood. We could move cards over into New York and then do Wasp over there. But since we don't have many of our cards, I think we might be able to win Morag, but I don't think we could win New York. I think most likely they would do something like an Odin. With this ramp version of a list, they may run Leader, Dr. Doom, Odin. I don't think we are set up where we're in a strong position, so I'm just going to take the 1 cube loss, and we'll jump over into the next one. Yeah, it was a cheeky Leader deck. Kimmy. I just dragged myself into rank 60. I wish I have Ultron to make things easier. Kimmy, what's your collection level? And a lot of the cards, a lot of this game, what I've noticed with the collection is that whenever you see a deck for a card that you can't access, it feels really bad. Like you had that fear of missing out. And I don't know. I know that there's a vision that Ben has for. I know that there's a vision that Ben has for how the collection works and everybody having a unique collection, but that creates that FOMO of not being able to build the best deck. So Ultron, I think, is a good card right now, but I don't think it's meta defining. I think there are ways that you could build even without it. It's just it just may not be what's directly in flavor just yet. But hopefully you pull it soon. That way you can build it, you can try it out, you can try some of these different combos. Valentini, you're 500 off She-Hulk. She-Hulk has a lot of applications. I think she's one of my favorite Series 4 cards. And then Brandon, what's going on, TLSG? I'm a huge fan and watch a ton of your content. You've helped me make some awesome decks. Brandon, that's huge. I'm so glad that you're here and that you're enjoying the content and that you've been able to kind of take some of what I've done and make your own decks, or even if you just copy and paste the decks that I've been using. I think that's huge. And so I'm glad that you're here and that you're enjoying the content. Nevin, I bought Ultron from the token shop and he's my best purchase to date. Yeah, I don't know exactly where I stand on using your tokens on Series 3 cards, but I think there are certain ones that could be a good value. That if purchased are just inherently a good value. So ones that are used repeatedly in a lot of core decks, and so like Sarah at a certain point, Destroyer at a certain point, were all very strong and very good. Ooh. So the wave coming down early, this looks like a death wave, but it could have some different plays up its sleeve. I'm gonna I can't play this turn or else I lock myself out of the game. We're gonna skip on turn 5, see what Jay Parnell does. And retreat. That's the first win we've gotten. We'll take it. We'll take it and then we'll move on. We're on our way to finding some bigger cube gains. A lot of it has been anticlimactic one cube retreats here and there, strategically placed, but we'll find some bigger cube gains here in a minute. Jake, hey TLSG, how's it going? Also, is Khazar worth replacing Super Skrull? I think he's okay. I think you change a few of the pieces. So I think Khazar would go in for Super Skrull. I think Mr. Sinister would probably come out for something like a Squirrel Girl, and then you may even take something like Onslaught out for a Debris. That way you can lean into the Debris rocks, you can interrupt Galactus play lines. I think overall it can still run very well. I'm actually using the Khazar version on my alternate account because I don't have Super Skrull, and it does okay. It's not an exact replica. What is your name, TLSG? My real name is Justin. And then Usman, how's it going? I'm glad you're able to jump in and join us. I'm gonna go ahead and do Brood, and we want to slow play with Elysium. We don't want to play it too quickly. We don't want to push too much power onto the board, because then they know where they can efficiently push their power to develop their board. I need Brood. I want to play a Surfer deck. Brood is another good one that I never thought I'd see as commonly as we are now, because before this season he was pretty bad. And then Coltrane, appreciate all your videos and work you do. Thank you so much, Coltrane.
Appreciate all your videos and work you do.
The support is huge. You guys are the reason that I can continue to kind of push and make more content. And so just you guys enjoying it allows me to continue to push and make more content. So I appreciate you being here, and I appreciate the massive support, Coltrane. Astros, so please tell us, what does TLSG stand for? Well, there's a lot of variations of what TLSG truly stands for, and the true origins are relatively unknown. And actually, I think I'm going to do Onslaught this game. I think I am going to stack our ongoing cards here. That way I can do Onslaught on 5, and then we can always do a Patriot on 6. So I'm going to go ahead and snap on this one. And so as far as what TLSG stands for, there was a time when I was on a Astros, it stands for that lonely sniper guy. That's one of the explanations for it. There's a couple of different ways that for what it means. I can't come up with a good one. It truly means that live stream guy. I didn't have any prepared for today, unfortunately. It really means that live stream guy. About 6 years ago, I created a Twitch account. I'm sorry to disappoint you guys. I created a Twitch account, and I thought it'd be funny if I was streaming and somebody found the stream and was telling their friend and said, "I only come for the TLSG origin stories." At this point, that may be true. That may be true, Delirium. But I thought it'd be fun if they were telling their friend about the stream and they were like, "Hey, have you seen that live stream guy?" And their friend would have to respond as no, which one. That only lasted for about two weeks, maybe a month at most, that I streamed on that account, and then it just kind of went by the wayside. But during that time, chat shortened it to TLSG, and it just kind of stuck. I kept that with me for many years, even after I wasn't creating content. Did you open Super Skrull or choose to buy? So I bought Super Skrull, and I have a lot of tokens left. I bought Super Skrull. It's been a while back though, because I wanted to test it out. I wanted to try out all of the new Series 5 cards and see which ones had the best value. Super Skrull was one that I wasn't able to crack for quite a while, just because I wanted to treat it like any other Series 5 card and build the deck entirely around that card. And I don't think that's where Super Skrull's strength lies. I think Super Skrull's strength lies in the fact that he's definitely a tech card. That when he works really, really well. Just most of the time knowing that he's not gonna do much and he'll be kind of dead in your hand. Similar to a Shang-Chi. there's a lot of games where Shang-Chi is a dead card, but when he works, he swings that lane entirely open for himself. Oh, Brandon, is that I guess I never knew where that 70 show got its name, and so is it very similar, Brandon? The lasagna spaghetti game explanation got me recently. I was laughing so hard. That's another fun one that I like. The lasagna and spaghetti game, the lonely sniper guy. I like that one. The last stand griefer. And there's been a couple that I've really enjoyed. And so I'm still coming up with more ones, more ways to describe it. A lot of times it comes from chat and picking out the ones that either chat leave in the comment section of videos or in the chat, and I catch it on the live stream. And so this is going to be a pretty standard death wave. We're not going to be able to compete against them. It doesn't look like. And Ultron could maybe do it. Yeah, the last stand griefer was a good one. There was one with 4 middle names. There's been some good explanations. Yeah, the Super Skrull against a Maw Red Skull deck. There's gonna be certain ones. Same thing if they do a Professor X lockdown, where you want to hold your Super Skrull until you know that they're not gonna be running some of those cards. And so by the time you drop Super Skrull, you're gonna know that they have Ebony Maw on the board already, and so then you could choose to just not drop it. It's typically only 2 power. And so if you don't end up dropping it, it's okay. We are going to try the Ultron path to see if maybe we can find our win. We're not going to be able to. The Ultron, or the arrow pulling it over to the side. We win Mojo World, but we're not going to win Cloning Vats. We lose it by 2, unfortunately. I think we still would have lost the right-hand lane, even if Ultron came in here. Oh no, we would have beat the raw power of death. So the arrow did come in and save them. It brings us back down to -2. Let's go ahead and jump over into the next one. We haven't had any really great showcases for the Patriot deck so far. Maybe give it time. We'll get there. For a featured location, Super Skrull is really solid, especially when you run into those mirror matches. It is. Anytime they run or lean into any strong ongoing cards that don't have very specific triggers. So like Hawk or Devil Dino, it doesn't do as well because the opponent's version of that ongoing is going to be a little bit stronger. But for Patriot, or if you're using a Patriot or things like Iron Man or Iron Man into Mystique, then those you're going to be able to get as much value out of as you can. I do think they're going to be running a Silver Surfer deck. The Forge is very standard for Silver Surfer, but we do have both Patriot, Mystique, we have our Ultron, and so I think we are in a pretty decent spot to do an early snap, try to get a couple of extra cubes. Dom, how's it going? I'm glad you're able to jump in and join us. Adam, the lag sucks, guys. The lag sucks, guys. I think I could spin that one, Adam. And then the little Pikachu. I created another account and tried to push to infinite pull 1. Is it possible when you're meeting the newbies? It is. It is possible to still push to infinite. But the only drawback is that the further in pull 1 you get, you will eventually start matching into, as you get higher rank, you'll start matching into people that have pull 2 cards. And so it'll be a little bit harder than if it was just pull 1. So you might run into some Killmongers. Otherwise, a Khazar Zoo I think is going to be one of your best assets. Hi TLSG, can you please talk about your card games background before Snap? Thank you in advance. Yeah, so before Marvel Snap, I dabbled in just about every card game I can imagine. Besides there are a couple of core ones that I didn't. But whenever I was, like, my first introduction was it was Yu-Gi-Oh! Whenever I was really, really young. Like the starter decks were just coming out, and it's actually what got me into the anime. But me and my neighbor, we continued to look for those to be in stock, and whenever they finally did, it just kind of took hold, and I really enjoyed it. I played it an awful lot, an absurd amount, and from there, eventually the kids in my neighborhood stopped playing, and I was too young. I didn't like go to any like local shops or any local games. So once the neighborhood stopped playing, at that point I stopped playing. But from there, I dabbled in things that I could access without having to drive anywhere. So I took a break for a little while, but Hearthstone came out, and that being a mobile exclusive game was very, very appealing to me. And so I was able to, I played that whenever it first came out for quite a while. And for probably the first 2 or 3 seasons, I hit Legendary on that game. I eventually got kind of bored with the stale meta, and I switched over to Legends of Runeterra. From there, I played that for a couple of seasons. I competed in a couple of the tournaments that they invite you to if you hit that, like the max rank. I don't remember the max rank, either Masters or however they described it. It's like the infinite of this version or of this game. And then I started getting kind of frustrated with some of the cards. I was there until whenever I played that one, it was there were only a couple of core like builds that did very, very well consistently. And so instead of sticking it out, waiting for a patch, I kind of got frustrated. I got overly frustrated and then kind of switched back to Hearthstone around that time. And then that led me into Marvel Snap. I was playing Hearthstone, and I think I saw a video from Zeddy Hearthstone that said, "Is this the Hearthstone killer?" And it's like, I have to know. I saw Marvel Snap, I saw the trailer, and then that led me into the first gameplay that Ben did with him and his team. And from there, I signed up for open beta, and I was stuck. It was such a unique. It was such a unique kind of design that I definitely wanted to test it out. I jumped in, I tried it out, and it feels light and day over some of the other card games or games in the genre. And then what are you drinking? I'm drinking some. It's water, but it has like caffeine powder in it. So it's a watermelon flavored water that has caffeine instead of because it's kind of hot today. So instead of coffee, I'm doing that. The lovely Snap guy, Harry. You are the Harry. You're the embodiment of positivity. I appreciate all of the support. I feel like you're in every video, in every stream. I appreciate the support so very much. Does your wife play card games too? Unfortunately, no. She does not. She supports me playing and enjoying them, creating content. But she doesn't play or enjoy them herself. So I think this is going to be 8 power, but it'll double to 16. We could do Ultron in this lane, and with the blue Marvel, it would be 9, so it would outpower them here. And then it would fill up this lane and this lane. I think that's the angle we'll go with. Hi, Alexander. Long time no stream. Yeah, I just got Cerebro to trick people. I play Cerebro 7. Not consistently, but pretty fun. I haven't really looked into Cerebro outside of Cerebro 2 and 3 recently. But I know for a while Cerebro 5 kind of got some popularity. And I think there is, as we get more cards and more options, I think there's definitely some merit there. American Primate, how's it? Good afternoon. I'm glad you're able to jump in and join us. I hope you're having a fantastic day so far. I've been having a lot of luck with Cerebro 2. I haven't featured Cerebro 2, but I have played... Cerebro is difficult for me to feature because sometimes it is very, very strong. Oh, we don't have Ultron. What am I doing? What are we doing? Oh no. Well. Double down with the onslaught. That's not hugely helpful. That would reach this to 8, so we'd get the double for the Jessica Jones. But I think we lose. They haven't snapped. I am gonna go ahead and risk it. I thought I had Ultron at hand. Audience from Taiwan, YC, truly enjoy your deck video. Very detailed explanation about why you play like this, why you retreat. I appreciate it. I'm so glad. I love hearing how far of a reach this channel and this game has. And I always love hearing where everyone's viewing from. And so I'm so glad that you're able to jump in and join us from Taiwan. And I'm glad that you're enjoying the content. I'm glad that you're enjoying the content. As a creator, that's all that I could ask for. American, I've been doing well with your Don't Count Me Out deck. Can you please tell me your strat for snapping with that setup? For that one is a very defensive. For the Don't Count Me Out deck, it's a counter deck. It's a very defensive deck. Typically, I wait till I can identify what the opponent is running. So if I know they're running a Shuri deck that's going to have a really tall card that can be targeted by Shang-Chi, or if it looks like they're stacking their Patriot, their Mystique all into one lane, at that point I might snap. I look for those identifiers before I can snap with that one, because it is defensive. You want to know what your opponent is doing before they do it, so that you can position yourself in a way to win. And so that one, without knowing what they're running, I play it defensively. I retreat pretty tactically or pretty quickly. But once I know what they're playing, and if I know that I have a counter to it, at that point I'll snap or double snap. Michael, what up, man? Nice to catch a stream. Love this deck. Missing Mystique though, and Skrull. The best replace Mystique is a tough one, because she increases the power potential of the deck quite a bit, just because she has so many targets. I don't know that there's a true replacement for Mystique here. Like you can do a couple of other cards. You could take her out. You could add in Khazar. You could take her out for the Squirrel Girl, the Debris. But your ceiling for the deck and that power potential at its max is going to be quite a bit lower because of it. We might lose this one. I don't know what they have planned for Bar Sinister. They did snap after that one revealed. But we'll see. They haven't played the Negative Hood, so they don't have the 6-powered Demon token. We're going to copy our Cyclops, because that's the highest base power we can play. And then we do have the supporting power of Wasp and Misty Knight. So I do think it's worth sticking this one out and seeing what they're playing to see. I mean, they could have a Maximus. No, Luke Cage. Oh, into the quadruple or the triple hazmat. Yeah, we're not gonna be able to we're not gonna be able to beat that. We will take the 4-cube loss. Oof. Have you played WWE Supercard? I have not. And then Jeremiah Bell, thank you for the 4-month resub. Taiwan number 1, nice to see you streaming again. Those lovely socks, guys. I was thinking of trying a sock story, but there's so many different directions it could go. The large sock, the little sock, the lovely socks could be one. I could spin that, Jeremiah. I'm glad that you're here. I know that it's incredibly late for you, but you also said that you had a lot that you were catching up with on work, so hopefully you're able to get a little bit of downtime. Cubby, have you played Monster Train? It's my favorite single-player card game. I haven't played Monster Train. I think the last single-player card game that I played was Slay the Spire. Was the last one that I played quite a bit. But I bought it on Steam, and then it came out on mobile, and I couldn't bring myself to play to buy it again, or else I'd probably still dabble in it. Meme.tiktok, your voice is really smoothing. I just woke up. Love the stream. I'm so glad that you are enjoying the stream, that you're enjoying my voice, As long as you're getting something positive out of the stream, that's all that I can ask for. Brandon, my favorite Snap creator. So glad I could catch a stream. The legendary Snap Guru is obviously what TLSG stands for. It is a name of many meanings. It's getting warm out here on the East Coast too. Yeah, and it's very back and forth. So it's one day it'll be cool, the next day it'll be cool, the next day it's incredibly hot. And so right now it can't really make up its mind. Love the deck concept and the videos you've been putting out. X-Gamer, thank you so much. I'm so glad that you're enjoying them. I try to create a variety of content, and I've realized that recently I've been focusing on like the series 4 and 5 cards, which are a little bit less accessible. So the next couple of videos that I put out leading up to the new cards release on next Tuesday, I'm going to try to do some more accessible lists. Some pool 2, pool 3 decks that you can run in the current meta, even without having a huge or deep collection pool that might be able to stand up to the rest. And so I'm going to be trying a couple of those because I was looking back and I realized just how focused on the Series 4 and Series 5 cards released that I've been doing. So I want to do some for everybody that they can build as well. Cheers from South Africa. Adam, that's huge. I love hearing and seeing how big of a span this channel has, because less than 6 months ago I had just decided to create the account and create the channel, and everything that it's done has been beyond like any of my wildest imaginations of what we could get or what we could do with the channel or as a channel. So I think we play Ultron. I don't know that we outpower them here. They have initiative. And so if they go with... They have initiative, so they could pull our card around with an arrow. They could copy it with a leader, but then we'll get the double impact from Mystique. I think we stick this one out, but I don't think we snap. Who's the best replacement for Brood? Oh wow, I'm quite a ways up. Who's the best replacement for Brood? I would say probably Debris. It's not going to be as big of a power push or as immediate, but it will still be really strong. How much did I miss? I had to finish work. Not too much. We're only about 30 minutes in, and so you still got a little while, Lil Eastwood. Yeah, Luke Cage and Hazmat decks are really strong, but it relies on having both of those cards, and if you don't, then it doesn't really have a good alternate playline. And so you have to either lean into the Adam Warlock or a couple of other play lines, and so it's not... I like the idea of Luke Cage, but with his effect, if you don't have him, then you're putting yourself at a pretty big deficit. And so I think he will be good in certain decks, but I think finding a way to utilize him successfully or consistently is still something that has to be worked out. Similar to a Valkyrie. Right now, Valkyrie wins really heavily in certain matchups, but certain ones it just doesn't. It just can't hold up. Andrew, I want to run this, but no Super Skrull. So without Skrull, I would say add in a Khazar, take out one of the other cards for a Brood, and I think you can still run the Patriot list. The Patriot list is already strong by itself. It just doesn't stand up as heavily on mirror matches. Best positive streamer on YouTube. Always fun to be here. Merry Christmas. I hope Merry Christmas to you as well. I hope that you had a fantastic holidays, and I'm so glad that you're here. I'm so glad that you're here. This whole community has been incredibly positive. This whole content creation journey is definitely not in what I ever thought would be my wheelhouse, and so I owe being able to continue to do it to you guys, just from the feedback that you guys have been able to give me, the helpful tips along the way. And so you guys are a huge driving force in me being able to do this consistently. So they have Domino, they have Wave. Are they running a Leech deck? or are they running a Galactus deck? And I think with Warrior Falls, that's going to be a tough one for us. I think we always fall flat in Warrior Falls. I think we are going to stick it out to see. We probably lose this matchup, though. We probably lose it pretty heavily, but we're gonna see what they have. I think it's probably a Galactus. I play really defensively against Galactus a lot of times, just because I have no way to directly counter it right now without like a debris. Have you tried Inscription? I haven't tried Inscription just yet. And then Slay the Spire is, yeah, Slay the Spire is really, really fun. My only reason I think I don't play it is that the games take so long, and I don't have it on my phone. I bought it on Steam, and so I have to be at the computer, and if I'm at the computer, I'm probably playing Snap. And so I haven't played Slay the Spire in quite a while, but I did play it very heavily for quite a while. And then Artemis Luck, thank you so much for resubbing for 3 months. You said just unlocked Valkyrie, cool tech card in Hazmat. It is. The interaction between like a Luke Cage and Hazmat and Valkyrie, or even just a Hazmat and then resetting those cards to 3 with your Valkyrie, is a really cool utility. And I think Valkyrie is one that I'm excited to see the potential for her. But I don't know if she'll ever be so polarizing as like a Galactus. I think when she works, she can work incredibly well. But I'm not sure that I'm not sure it's ever to the point where it's necessarily just broken. He hasn't used Super Skrull at all for the last 15 minutes. Yeah, Super Skrull, most games, it's just going to be a dead card, but whenever it does work, it's going to work really, really well. Oh, I'm so far behind. I'm so sorry. Good, but not needed. Half the time you don't use Absorbing Man. That's true. He's good, but he's not critical. When he works, he's going to allow you to just win. But whenever he doesn't, he's just a dead card. It was 9 degrees in North Texas last week. Now it's around 70. Yeah, Delirium. I'm right there with you, feeling that. So it went from everybody wearing jackets, coats, hats to shorts and t-shirt weather. And it happened pretty much overnight. Cheers from Indonesia, Potato. I'm so glad that you're able to jump in and join us. VLR at work right now. Glad I can catch the stream. Love all your content. My favorite Snap streamer for sure. VLR, that's huge. Thank you so much for being here. We're gonna go ahead and skip this turn. We don't want to have any more of our resources destroyed in Murder World. And we can't really play into Morag without playing into one of these other 2 locations, and we don't want to ruin the Superflow bonus. So what's your favorite card to date? Astros, as far as just the design, I think I stick with the original answer of Captain Marvel. Captain Marvel is so unique in her design that nothing else quite does what she does. Those end of game effects can be really strong. They get really confusing and kind of convoluted if they're stacked together with other end of game effects. But she can very easily swing games in your favor. So she's one of my favorite card designs. I don't think she's broken. I don't think she's ever been broken. But I think she is very unique for what she is and what she does. It's been a while since I've seen your stream. It's good to be back. Henry, hello. I'm so glad that you're here. It's been a while since I've been able to stream consistently. So I am glad that you're here. Benjamin, happy to see you stream in TLSG. I'm happy to be here, Benjamin. I've been missing it. It's been a while since I've been able to do it consistently. Hopefully I can get back to a pretty that lame slogan guy. Can we hear some of your lame slogans? I need to come up with some lame slogans. I need to come up with some lame slogans, and then I can use that as an origin story. It can be like, if you're in it, you better win it. Just like some really cliche stuff. I think I could spin that one, Dom. Ferdinand, I'm so glad that you're here. run a Rogue and Silver Surfer in Patriot decks. That can be a pretty surprise twist as well, because Patriot decks a lot of times will run like the Broods or the Mystique, and so I think you could sneak away a few games with that. And so right now we only have the +1 bonus from Blue Marvel. This is going to be 2, this is going to be 2, so this would push us to 11. This is a pretty decent power push in Morak, and then it fills up the Superflow. They could use an Odin to re-trigger, and then I think they would win that toss-up, but it's only for 1 additional cube. I do want to see it play out. If they had snapped, we don't have a good strategic, we don't have our Patriot, our big power push, so at that point I would probably fold, but we're going to see what they end up pushing. Kimmy, probably going to go to sleep now. It's pretty late in my time zone. Love your detailed videos from Hong Kong. Kimmy, I hope that you have a fantastic night. I hope that you sleep well, and hopefully we catch you in either the next live stream or the next video. Are you a full-time content creator, or do you have another job? If so, what do you do? Oh, it updated and it went away. If so, what do you do, and what did you do before this? I do have another full-time job. I have a full-time job. I create the daily content for this channel, and then I have I have a family. So I have a almost 2-year-old daughter now, and so I'm very busy schedule. But as far as for work, I am a data. I'm a data analyst, so I went blank for a minute. I'm a data analyst, so I take the data and I take the different systems that we have, and I build queries with that data, and I extract and pull, and then I manipulate it in a way that it's able to be easily interpreted by our leaders. And so I think that's a lot of why I have the analytical approach to like the game, or I think it feeds into what I've decided to do as my full-time like career. And right now the content creation, I never thought it'd be as big as it is, and so it was always something that I just did for fun because I enjoyed the game, and I wanted to share, or be able to share the experiences that I was having with it. And then it just kind of evolved into this massive thing so far. So it's not what I do full time, but I do put a lot of time into it. Tarma, hey TLSG, big fan of your videos. Your decks have helped me jump up 30 ranks this season. Do you have any thoughts on Zabu yet? I think Zabu is going to be really strong. I think he's going to be in a very strong spot, and I think he'll create some really crazy combos. I don't know, any kind of card reduction is really strong. So with Sarah, we've seen so many like serotonin decks, just because it allows a really explosive last turn play that's almost unable to be calculated. It's going to be really hard to figure out exactly what power push they can do on that last turn. And I think with this season card, it's going to be no different. It's going to have a really deep cost or power reduction, and I think it's gonna be very strong. So we don't have a great hand here. We don't have Patriot. We don't have. Oof. We know that they're probably not going Patriot. They're probably going Silver Surfer instead. I'm gonna throw our Super Skrull onto the board, just because. If we draw into Mystique, depending on if they drop any ongoing, very rare that they will. In this list, we get the Sarah reduction from our Super Skrull. But unless we draw maybe our Patriot here, I don't think we have a shot. So with the Sarah version, they're going to push for a Silver Surfer, and I don't think we outpower a Silver Surfer in really any of the matches If we thought they were going Iron Man, we would stick this out with like a Mystique and a Mr. Sinister, but we are going to take the 2 cube fold and jump over into the next one. Thoughts on Zabu into Mystique? Free 4 costs the whole game, so they'll still be 1 cost. And so I think Zabu into Mystique is going to be the same thing as like Zabu into Sarah, because that combo would reduce them by 3, and then they'd be 1
welcome.
anyways.
It took you long enough.
And then Mohammed, thank you so much for joining us as a channel member. I appreciate the support, and I'm so glad to have you here. If you refresh the stream, you'll have access to our current list of emojis, and as we get back into a more like stable state, that list will start growing again. With YouTube, you get more emojis the more members you have, and so right now, since we weren't consistent, we dropped in the total members we had. And so we'll have to work back up to that point. But I am glad to have you. I hope that you're having a fantastic day. Debris in this deck is greater than Super Skrull. I think it depends. I don't think Super Skrull is useful in a lot of decks, but then again, Debris a lot of times just clogs up the board and makes maneuvering around like an Ultron difficult. Henrique, welcome. I'm so glad that you're here. Do you think Zabu Surfer Wong would work? It might. You could probably do... So with the reduction of 2, that would make Wong 2. You could do Wong into Surfer. That'd be 5. I was trying to see if there was a way to do Wong, Surfer, and Absorbing Man in 1 turn. But I think that would be really hard to set up. If there's a way... I think there's going to be some really decent high rolls from it. That pause. Yeah, I may be an android. I went completely blank for a minute. Ooh, so it is a Patriot matchup. So I hope that we draw into Super Skrull at some point this game. That's going to be ideal. If we draw into Super Skrull, then we just pretty much win the matchup. Otherwise, it comes down to how much power we can push compared to how much they can push. Debris is good against Galactus. That's true. And so if we... and the dad, yes, we are live. I'm so glad that you were able to jump in and join us. So we have the Debris. We can copy that with our our Mystique. And then we can do an Onslaught on top of it. That would make all of these... I guess we can hold the Wasp. That would make all of these much, much bigger. And I think it would hold up against a... Oh, we need the Super Skrull so badly. So the Iron Man, we don't get Super Skrull. Oh no. So if we do an Onslaught, that's 2, 4, and that doubles to 8. 8 for every vanilla card. So this would be 8, 16, 24. So I think we still have a shot. Zombie Lemon, hey, how's it going? Brandon, do you have any advice or recommendations on building a Lockjaw deck? I think there's a couple ways you can build a Lockjaw deck. I think having Thor in it is one of the better combos, because then you can cycle your Mjolnir out. I almost want to snap back, because they could do a Blue Marvel that would push this to 20. We have the high roll of I think it's going to be 24. We're going to snap back. Tiandre, Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, Happy New Year's. How you liking the lot of new cards? Tiandre, I'm so glad that you were able to, that you have jumped in and joined us. Ooh, the Silver Surfer, I was not expecting. I think we still win this one. But happy holidays to you as well, Tiandre. I'm so glad that you're here. I've really been enjoying testing the new cards, and I don't like the card acquisition with how it is and how rare they are. But otherwise, oh no, that's +4, not +8. I like the card acquisition, or I don't like the card acquisition. I like the new cards, but not necessarily how you pull them. I think it's created a lot of shifts in the meta to make it not feel as stale, which I think is the reason we found ourselves in like a Leech Leader situation. And just, I think it's done a lot of cool things for the game. But I do wish they were a little bit more accessible to everybody, because it feels bad to pull a new card and then make a deck around it, and then 90 to 95% of those people not be able to utilize it. Do you think Sandman needs a buff? At 4 cost, Sandman is difficult to run, but Sandman, if he is just unthrottled, I think his effect is so polarizing that he becomes broken at a certain point. And so I don't know if I would buff him. I think he's okay where he is. My only issue with Sandman where he's at right now is that if you build a deck around him and you don't draw into it, then your deck is kind of like the Luke Cage interaction. If you build your deck around Sandman, it can do really, really well. But if you don't draw into Sandman, then you just have a mediocre deck at that point. And so I don't know if buffed. I don't know. I think buffing Sandman could create I think it could unleash a lot of awful gameplay on the ladder. This is what nearly made me quit playing Snap. I was playing a Patriot deck early this morning, and out of 11 games, I only pulled Patriot once, and it was on turn 6. Yeah, and with 12 cards, whenever you don't see the cards that you stacked, that can feel pretty bad. I think the most important thing with Snap is staying patient, because if you start tilting and playing too aggressively, or you're kind of angry, then I found that I lose a lot more cubes a lot more quickly, and then it just kind of it stacks on top of each other. So sometimes I have to take a step back, take a break. And then Usman, love from Pakistan. I'm so glad that you're here and able to jump in and join us today. And then Q, what comes to mind if you have if you have to fight a match where every location is Dark Dimension? I think Daredevil might give you some good insight. No, he couldn't reveal. Never mind. I don't know. I don't know. Every location being Dark Dimension, you're just playing, at that point, you're just playing your cards and hoping that your opponent, so you want to play value. At that point, you're playing a value deck. Because you want to outpower whatever combo or big thing that your opponent is doing. I think that would be really tough to do, Q.
Hey, welcome. It took you long enough.
And then Gokdin thank you so much for joining us as a channel member. I'm so glad to have you. I'm so glad to have you here. I hope that you're having a fantastic day so far. And if you refresh the stream, you'll have access to our current list of emojis. Eventually, those will grow. And then thank you for the reminder, Joe. If you are enjoying the stream, if you could give it a like, it helps the algorithm let it reach a wider audience, so that they can check it out and enjoy it as well. It is easy to lose a week's worth of cube gains in one tilt session. Yep, I have dropped from and it starts slowly too. Like it's just like 2 or 3 bad beats in a row, and then it can just progress from there. I was at 99.9 this season, and I dropped down to like 96, and I had to take a break. At that point, I had to step away for a minute, and just kind of regather my thoughts.
Long enough.
Thank you so much, Nick006 Band. Thank you so much for joining as a channel member. And then thank you, Zombie Lemon, for renewing your channel membership for the 3rd month. Yeah, I was 99.9. I was like, I'm going to play defensively. I am not going to snap. I'm not going to counter snap. And it started with like 3 retreats in a row where I just didn't have the cards I needed. And then it slowly morphed into like 96, and I had to take a break, and just I had to regather my composure at that point. Yeah, because this season was a struggle. This season the climbing was very back and forth. I hung out around the 90s for a very, very long time, or around the 80s for a very long time, and I wasn't able to really make much happen. And so it was a lot of back and forth this season. I think more so than really any other season. that I've played in. And then Sean, I just reached back to 96 with this deck. I think he was struggling with this meta climb to 95 and dropped all the way to 75, but just don't want to play leader. Current collection 3080 just in 4 hours climb. Such a good deck. Sean, that is huge. I'm so glad that you found something that is working. And I think that was what part of my issue as well, was that I didn't want to use the leader. Scroll at bar Sinister, we can't because of Goose. And otherwise, if we had not played Shocker, that would have been a really cool play line as well. But we're not able to play it anywhere that it doesn't get destroyed. So unfortunately, it's going to be a retreat. Had we not played Shocker and we had a spot to play Super Skrull against Cerebro, it can help you defend against it, but this was just not one of those times. But Sean, I'm so glad that you found one that you're climbing with, because this, I have really tried to limit using leader, and especially Leech. I used it in like 3 games, and I just felt bad every time I played it, and so then I started trying to find something else that would work well. I've had a pretty bad couple of days on Snap recently. I got to 92 and started losing really badly, about 85. Yep, definitely take breaks. I'm going to play some Hazmat for fun now. Daniel, that's where I started climbing again, was when I stopped like paying so much attention to my cubes. I played a little bit less aggressively, and I was able to start climbing again. So I think definitely taking some of the pressure off that climb is a big first step. Astros, TLSG, any tips to reach infinite for someone who plays 1 match a day? Astros, you only play 1 match a day? I don't have that restraint. Like, even if I only have 3 minutes, I play at least 3 because I'm like, I got time for 1 more. So if you're only playing 1 match a day, I think that's kind of tough, because then you're really exposed to shifts in the meta and you don't have that time to find that sweet spot. So like with this season, oh no. Astros, okay, I was gonna try and answer it for you, but like with this season, if you like really double down on the Silver Surfer build early, then you were able to climb a lot in a short amount of time, but then the next couple of weeks Silver Surfer was almost unusable. And so yeah, I think 1 match a day would be really tough. If you had 1 more turn, would Blue Marvel Death's Domain into Mystique Bar Sinister work? It should. It should work. I don't think, from my testing, Mystique, if the card gets rogued or enchantressed, will not copy the ongoing ability, because it no longer has that. But if it dies, it treats it similar to a Taskmaster, in that it will retain that ongoing. So I think that interaction should have worked if we had 1 more turn. And so we're gonna go ahead and play our Cyclops. We don't have any of our buff cards just yet. We're just gonna slow play it, and hope that we draw into one of our key resources here. I used leader before it was cool. Yeah. And I did as well in a couple of like Hella builds. I think it did really well, but I think now that it's in like every single matchup, it's one of those cards that for me feels bad to use, and so at that point I stopped using it. But wow, so they have Quinjet and Onslaught. They have that's our Onslaught. So now they have a 2 reduction to any cards that didn't start in their hand. And do we go with the Ultron? We could go with Mystique to double down on the Patriot. So if we did Ultron, that's only... Those cards are not that powerful. Leader is whack. I don't have him yet. I think I honestly think he's as strong as he's ever been. I think it's just more people are utilizing him. And so you really feel that pressure and that struggle against it. Do we think they're going to go with a Devil Dino? I think we lose the matchup regardless of how we play it. gonna gamble here. Okay, so the arrow is a tough one. We lose the Space Throne, and we're gonna lose Avenger's Compound. That's not what I thought they were going with, but it does beat us. We're gonna lose the 1 cube. That one we should have retreated out. We didn't have a good or strategic play line. I was curious. I was curious what they were running as that last turn play. Sean, your deck explanations have always been so good. Looking forward to check your every update video. And deck explanation. Half of my deck was using your thoughts. Sean, that's huge. I try to do it I used to ramble for a little bit too long. I try to do it where it's concise, where it doesn't take too long, because there are a lot of people that just want to see the gameplay, and so they skip past it. And so I've tried to do it where it gives the valuable information, but it's also concise. And then Lusa, hey man, really like your videos, so thought I'd join up for the stream. I'm so glad that you're here. I'm not sure if that's an L or an I, so it's either Iosa or Losua. But thank you for being here. I'm so glad that you're enjoying the content and that you jumped into the live stream. Props for your 3-drop choice as Cyclops. Yeah, you could play Debris. I like the Cyclops beam. It's such a cool animation, and for such a lackluster card. But I do really enjoy it. I was climbing with a pool 2 only Sarah deck until Leader was everywhere. Yep. I think Leader single-handedly took like Sarah last turn plays and some of those strong last turn plays out of the mix. And then Timothy Core, notice you've been coughing quite a bit this stream. Make sure to drink up. Thank you so much for the hydration check, Timothy. I'm at the point where I'm not like super sick, but I'm always just like a little bit sick. So with the cold weather kind of coming in and out, it's to the point where like I always have like a slight cold, but I don't feel bad enough that I'm actually sick. And so I appreciate the concern though. I needed to be hydrated. Ricardo, you said, hey TLSG, no Super Skrull here. And to be honest, I don't see him as needed in this deck. Yeah, I don't think he is core to making the deck work. And I think that's where Super Skrull's strength lies, is that you don't have to have him. He's just a good addition. And so I would say if you don't have Super Skrull, I would take him out. I would add in Khazar, or maybe add in Debris. I would probably take out like Mr. Sinister to lean into like a Squirrel Girl to really emphasize that 1 cost Khazar buff. And just you shift the deck a little bit, but the core idea stays the same. And honestly, Onslaught feels a little bit too big. I think out of like 150 games, I've used him like a total of 2 times. And so you might be able to take him out for another one of those cards as well. So they use the Wolfsbane directly into Kamartaj. It could be a Silver Surfer. It could be something that they're going to re-trigger this with an Odin at the end of the game. Or maybe they're going to go Spider-Man here, and we need to push power over into this lane. So I think we go double Mr. Sinister into Kamartaj, into a Brood in Morag. Something tells me we're not going to get the chance to use an Ultron even if we draw it here. And so Mr. Sinister will fill up this location. Brood will almost fill up this location. So if this is the Spider-Man play, no, it's not. Oh, okay, well, it is the Odin play. We'll probably retreat out of this one. We can't win the flooded location. If they do an Odin here, that will re-trigger Wolfsbane twice. Now that'll re-trigger it 4 times, right? It fills up this location. Yeah, we don't have a shot in this one. And then Nanda, any social media you use? So I do use Twitter from time to time. I'm definitely not great at it, but I'm slowly using it to kind of post some different deck ideas and some different things that have been featured. I also use Discord for the channel as well, and so both those I have set up. Skrull Patriot Onslaught. Yeah, but Skrull by himself, even without Onslaught, I did use a Skrull into a Blue Marvel into an Onslaught and had a 1000 power lane. I still lost the game, but I had a really stacked singular lane with the Onslaught combo. But he's just not as flexible. So I think even without the Onslaught, you can do okay with this list. And so if you're looking for subs, I think that would be one of the first places I look. Murdoff, hey man, I hope you had a great holiday. I hope that you had a good one as well. I had mine was pretty good. I got to spend some time with family and just enjoy being surrounded by friends and family. So I had a pretty decent one. I hope that you did as well. It took me a month after starting this game to get to Infinite because of how good your explanations are. Derek, that's huge. That definitely didn't take you very long. There's sometimes that pushing to Infinite just feels like it can't be done. And so given enough play, I truly think that most people could reach it. But to be able to do it that quickly, I think is a big accomplishment. Yeah, not super sick, but just a little sick. I think we're gonna play the Super Skrull. They played a Bishop. They might be running the negative version of Silver Surfer. And if so, this limits them from being able to play their Iron Man or their Mystique, or else we have 2 copies of it. There comes the Mr. Negative. So that's going to restrict what they can do quite a bit, because they could also have a Rogue, I guess. So do we just double down on the Super Skrull and just make it where they can't play anything? Or maybe we do Blue Marvel, and that would protect at least our Super Skrull a little bit. I think that's what we're going to go with, is the double Blue Marvel here. Yeah, Cyclops is one of the Marvel icons, and then they made him like really lackluster, which is sad. At this point, I don't think he's going to get buffed up though. I think at this point he's just hard stuck where he's at. I can't wait the patch drops. Yeah, he's gonna be really strong when he comes out. I think as long as you can find a really good way to build around him. So we can do Mystique. That will do 2 more Blue Marvels. And then I think we just do a Shocker. We're protected from a... They could do 2... they could do 2 Silver Surfers here. But I think we win in Sinister London. And we can pretty likely win in Wakanda as well. Joe Boy, do you watch anime? I haven't for a little while. I'm a little bit behind, but I have watched quite a bit. So the most recent one that I was watching was My Hero Academia. I watched Black Clover for quite a bit. It's one that's a little bit lesser known. I watched Attack on Titan. That one, I thought the first season was really good and really like mysterious, and then after that, I watched the rest of it, but it wasn't as like gripping as the first season. I watched the original Dragon Ball Z, Pokemon. I enjoy anime. I just haven't watched it for a while.
In Infinite, would you like the list?
Infamous, yeah. What list are you running? Timothy, I'm so glad that you were able to jump in and join us. I hope you have a great rest of your day. Anyone else have a big delay between chat and stream? I think I was behind, Dad. Is it still behind? Mountain Man destroyed us. Just absolutely. There's no words. Oh man. He even destroyed our Super Skrull. Ooh. we got blindside robbed. That was, I mean, it was a good play. He had the inverted Iron Man. The Rogue was huge. Oh man. Jack, you said just won a game. Opponent kept using Black Widow in cloning vats and Sinister London. You won though. So that's the one issue I have with Black Widow, is that it's such a low tempo play that it's very frustrating. But whenever it's very frustrating for the opponent, but a lot of times, as long as you had some decent cards to start with, then you're fine. Where's Sasuke when you need him? I know. We would absolutely just take off. Is the live stream a tad delayed? Henrique, is it still showing that? If so, I may need to look at some of the settings. And then I am a little bit behind on chat today, though. Infinite Element, Sunspot, Nightcrawler, Quinjet, Goose, Armor, Wave, Polaris, Moongirl, Miles, Captain Marvel, Arrow, and She-Hulk. So it's like a double down deck, right? I ran. Let's see. I ran a version of that. I also had the hood in mind, though. I thought the hood did. Oh no. It could be worse. We still have here to play, and we have our Patriot, so we can lean into like the Patriot, into maybe Mystique and an Onslaught. In Infamous, in my list that was kind of similar to that, I used the hood for a second target for your Quinjet, and if you double up on the demon token, it's two really cheap 6 power cards that you can throw onto the board on the last turn. I do really like the idea. It hurts with yeah, we do have 4 Hulks. 4 Hulks, we can buff it up with the Patriot. Oh, and then the Squirrel Girl comes down. This is a game. Maybe you can swap out Marvel for the hood. Yeah, I think if your main goal is to skip on 5, then Captain Marvel maybe for the hood could help with your consistency. That way you always have a really good explosive last turn. Harry, I don't even know what to do with this. This game, we just, ow. I mean, we'll take it. We will absolutely take it. Joy Boy, yeah, I really enjoyed Black Clover. The first couple of episodes, the main characters, I don't know if it's his voice, but he's always screaming. He was kind of annoying, but then he grows on you. And I've really liked Black Clover, and it's just like that he's just so relentlessly committed, even though he doesn't really. I really like Black Clover's storyline. I'm a little bit behind on that one as well, but whenever I was binging it and watching it, that one was one of my favorites. That one should, yeah, that one should be a highlight game. I'll have to mark that one as a potential like go back and highlight. Full Metal Alchemist. I started, but there was a lot of filler in Full Metal Alchemist, so I didn't get through it as far as I would have liked. I also watched. I think it was Deadly Sins. The Deadly Sins. I watched the first season and I thought that was good. I think the second season kind of maybe lost itself a little bit. I also watched. I'm struggling to find my words today. I watched the one where he's in the dive suit. You're stuck in the game until if you die there, you die in real life. It's a very popular one. I can't. It's not even. I'm sure somebody in chat can help me out. There are 2 Full Metal Alchemist animes. Brotherhood cut out the filler. Really? I may need to check out Brotherhood then. What game did you play before Snap? I played Hearthstone. And before that, I've dabbled in a lot of different games. But Hearthstone was the one that I was playing directly. Sword Art Online. Thank you so much. That was going to bother me so bad. But Hearthstone was the one that I was playing directly before Snap came out. I dabbled in World of Warcraft for a while. I played I played RuneScape before it became old school RuneScape. I played League of Legends for a while. I've dabbled in a lot of different games. And so I think we play the Blue Marvel. Momo, hey, how's it going? I hope that you're having a fantastic day so far. We could either do the Blue Marvel or maybe we lean in and We play a couple of our vanilla cards here. Next turn we can do an Onslaught plus a Wasp to try to find a way to win. Ben, I've kind of switched from Hearthstone to Snap too. I think so. The biggest, I guess, deciding factor for me was Snap feels really unique, and it always feels really varied. So it keeps you kind of engaged a little bit more. With Hearthstone, it felt really bad for games where the opponent was roping every single game or every single turn, and the game took 40 minutes when it should have only taken like 5 to 10. Those were like the last couple of like bullets in the, or like, I guess, daggers in the coffin. I shouldn't use metaphors today. The words are not coming. But those were the last couple of nails in the coffin. Oh my gosh. Those were the last kind of like final straws. Nails in the coffin. Thank you so much. I don't know what it is. I don't know what it is today. But we're having the last bullet that broke the camel's back. It's on him. That one's the last straw, right? I think Hearthstone, as far as which one's better, I think Hearthstone is deeper right now because it's been around for so many years. But I think Snap is more exciting. It's kind of newer or fresher, newer or more fresh. And so for me, I think Snap takes precedent because there's only so many ways that you can kind of recreate your cards, which is Hearthstone. That stumbling lingo guy, that is me today to a T, Dom. Drunk stream confirmed. If only I had something to blame it on, but this one is just my brain being slow today. I played Hearthstone for 6 years, just kind of burn out on it right now. Enjoying Snap for a change of pace. Ben, I agree. It gets to the point where, like, with Hearthstone, you see the same meta decks over and over, and if you're playing it too much or too frequently, then yeah, it gets really old and really repetitive really quickly. And so this one, there's always new locations, always new cards, always new featured locations that can kind of keep it shifting. Yeah, the leader play. I always enjoy a last turn leader play, especially with a Patriot deck, because they don't get as much value out of our vanilla cards as we do. And so this deck does hold up pretty well against leader. I feel like leader is dying down, especially leech leader. But it is still out there. I think as we get towards the end of the season and more people are hitting infinite, there's less of that ideology of like, I need to climb really, really fast, and I need the best deck to do that. And so I think we're seeing some more experimentation now. The deck that you submitted, I was climbing with it in infinite, but I'll test Hood with it now. Yeah, Infamous. The version that I ran, it was very similar to that one. I think I made a video on it. I think it was the She-Hulk Double Down that I called it. But the only thing that it really folded to was leech plays. A leader play, you could outpace them because you push more cards than they could have slots. Just overall, I thought it felt really good. So this is a tough set of locations. If we play into the Vibranium Mines, that's going to shuffle Vibranium into our deck. We can't play anything below a 4-cost card into the Crimson Cosmos. I think we skip on turn 3, even though we have resources we could play. I feel like Snap gives me an opponent who have the perfect counter to the decks I run. J-Man, They have said that there's nothing like that happens in the matchmaking. But I feel the same thing. Like whenever I switch up decks, all of a sudden I'm running into different opponents than I was before, or different like archetypes. So I like switch to directly counter something that I'm seeing, and then it's just an entirely different set of people that I'm going up against. And so it definitely feels like that's the case, J-Man. But I know that the developers have said that that's not how it's programmed, but it sure does feel like that. It definitely does feel like it. So I think this was the matchup that we had that was running the mirror match that was running the Patriot. So Super Skrull may be useful for us in this matchup, and so we can always hold him till the very end of the game and then drop him as like that last turn surprise drop. Momo, I'm always open to deck recommendations and submissions. I may not always make a video on them, but a lot of times I'll test them out. I'll see how it feels overall. But yeah, if you have one that you want me to look at, you can either send it in our Discord or shoot me a message on Discord as well. That way I have it after the stream, and I can test it out from there. Sonev, confirmation bias is a hell of a drug. Yeah, it is. It definitely is. Harry, he absorbs your cubes. How often do you run into bots? Before this season, I ran into them quite a bit. This season, very, very rarely have I ran into any bots. So they do have the Patriot. We're going to be able to steal that with Super Skrull. If we can get a Mystique, or maybe even we save it as a last turn drop alongside a Mr. Sinister. That way we can push Mr. Sinister into Morag. Yes, it's a Valk deck. I'll join the Discord now. Momo, I'd be very happy to have you there. And then if you'll shoot it to me, I'll check it out. I'm definitely looking for better ways to utilize Valk or Valkyrie. Just there's been some games where she feels really, really strong, but then certain decks she just absolutely folds to. So I'm going to go ahead and snap before they know we have Super Skrull. We're going to save Super Skrull for the last turn play. On the last turn, I will do our Super Skrull probably into Central Park. We can do our Mr. Sinister. We can do a Wasp to get a few more vanilla cards out on the board. And then if they play anything else, if they play a Blue Marvel, ooh, and an Iron Man is beautiful here as well. How can you tell who's a bot again? It's a lot harder than it used to be. But before it was very transparent who the bots were. Nowadays it's a lot harder to tell. But before it was like the names that were very base. It was like Blaine or Grant was like the username, and it was like one of the stock avatars. And then you used to be able to tell from like the way that they played, but now not so much. Valentino, I didn't realize you had a Discord. I'll join that too. I think we'd be happy to have you. It's an extension of the positivity that we have with the channel, and so we'd definitely be happy to have you. I don't know. The Iron Man has me concerned because they could do a Mystique to copy Iron Man. Which would have to make it go over here, and then I think we could outpace them. This lane we just I think win, especially if they do the Mystique version of Iron Man. I don't know. We're gonna see. So the Maximus comes down. Ooh, it's the Silver Surfer again. I forgot they're running a Patriot Silver Surfer build, which does have the double trigger. Can we? Oh, I don't know. We do win in Kamartage. Do we win in Central Park as well? Maybe. No, I think no. It's the clean. Yeah, it's the we get the win. We win in Central Park by 1, or we tie in Central Park. We win in Morag by 1, and then we very heavily win in Kamartage. And the only reason that we were able to even remotely get close to competing against this, against the Silver Surfer Patriot build, was the Super Skrull in this matchup. He was the deciding factor. I forgot he was running the Silver Surfer version of it. Dad, I use foul language in Discord, so please be aware. Dad, every once in a while you use some foul language, but we do usually keep it keep it pretty positive in there. But there are some times where it just has to come out. I thought I had a Discord. Did the Discord one stop working? It looks like. So it hasn't been listed. It's in the description of the video. And then I'll fix the Nightbot as well. So if you look at the description on YouTube, it should have a link to the Discord. If it doesn't work, let me know. Yeah, Harry, I'm gonna fix it. I didn't realize that Nightbot was broken. Since we haven't streamed in so long, I didn't realize that it got broken at some point. So I think in this one, we lean into the Patriot, Mystique, maybe even Blue Marvel into Ultron. That would make this lane a hard loss, but it should give us a really good chance in Olympia and this far right lane. New card in Token Shop. I'll check it out. I think right now the only one that I'm itching for is maybe Galactus. So the only ones that I'm missing across all of my accounts are Galactus and Thanos. If it's just between this one, I'm also missing Hawk and Sentry, but those are less desirable. Since I already have them on the other account, I don't necessarily feel like I need to unlock them with tokens on this one. There should be a daily challenge. Or the mission reset. After you're done with the missions and Battle Pass missions, you only get marginal Battle Pass points. And it becomes a bit boring. Would be nice to get some credits after wins. I think having some way to keep you engaged would be pretty nice to see. But I don't know that they ever do that. Just pull the Christmas Rock Slide. Nice, Little Eastwood. Hopefully you have Hawk or some way to utilize it. Because I do think that one looks pretty good. I am going to go ahead and snap. As long as we can get Ultron off, we can fill this lane up. We'll reduce the power of his Lizard, and we just have some increased upside. They can't use something like a Spider-Man to block us out of Dark Dimension. They could do a Cosmo, but I don't know that this version of this deck would. You should be able to refresh the token shop for gold. But then, like once a day, maybe within limit, you should be able to refresh it. Because I know that whenever a new card comes out and it just doesn't show up in my shop, it feels really, really bad. The token shop just refreshed after this one. After this one, I'll check it out. Is Bast useful without negative? Yeah, they did very heavily commit to the right lane, but they could still counter us in the Dark Dimension. I mean, I guess they committed to the right. We overcommitted to the left, yeah. I think we go ahead and play Wasp just in case. Just in case they use an arrow and pull our card out, or if for some reason this is a Cosmo and it doesn't trigger, then at least we have a little bit of push. I can't commit this. Black Cat in your token shop? Benjamin. The Black Cat is one of the less utilized ones. Cosmo incoming. It might be. This is a very like tempo and kind of control your opponent's style card or deck from what it looks like. So maybe. Cosmo Destroyer incoming? You think so? With a Storm and a Jessica Jones? Should I buy She-Hulk or do I save my tokens? I think She-Hulk is really flexible. But I think with where I don't know. I think it depends on what you like to play. Freddy Babes was a Gwent player. Yeah, and with the Hulk avatar, we know that he was infinite in the very first season of the beta. And so I'm sure that they know what they're doing. I'm sure they are very knowledgeable. Maybe we should have pushed Ultron into Olympia, just in case. What is your favorite Series 5 card? So it's Claw into Killmonger. That's 3 that they used. They could still do a Cosmo after the Killmonger comes down. So the Star-Lord, so that's 5. They can only do a 1 cost, so Rocket. That's a big explosive last turn. I think the Patriot, Mystique, Blue Marvel. I think as far as my favorite Series 5 card, I think Hawk. Hawk feels really unique in that it wants you to flood their board with junk. But outside of that, the one that I've used probably the most is Shuri. Shuri is really strong just because you can do a really explosive turn 5 and turn 6 play. that you're sure to outpower your opponent on those 2 turns. And so if they take the turn to do like a low tempo 4-drop like a Sandman, then you have insane value going into those last couple of turns. But I think I've used Shuri the most as far as Series 5 cards. Now, I don't know that Hawk is the strongest. I don't know that I would spend tokens on him if I had a limited amount. But otherwise, I do think he feels really good. By the way, I might break down and try Patriot deck. What would you sub for Skrull? So if Pilk Enjoyer was here, he'd be really, really jealous. This is one of the variants that he said he would buy. But Dad, for the cards that I would sub out, I would take out Super Skrull. No, that's our Surfer build. I would take out probably Skrull and Mr. Sinister, and I would add in Squirrel Girl and I think a Khazar. That way you really lean into that piece. I might even take out Onslaught for a Debris. That would allow you to counter any kind of Galactus decks if you're seeing those. But for me, Debris gets a little bit, especially with Squirrel Girl, it gets like your board gets really congested really quickly. But I think that those are the subs that I would do for Super Skrull. If you don't have him, Patriot list is going to be strong, I think, regardless. And so even if you don't have Super Skrull, I think Patriot is in a really good spot, especially if you're still running into like leeches. Then it does have a lot of strength. As long as you drop and curve your Patriot out early, then it does have a lot of strength still. I gotta fix the deck that I just... so we're gonna go ahead and we will add these cards back in, and then we'll jump in. We'll jump into the next one. Who's a good replacement for Brood? I would say a Debris would be decent. Iceberg, it might be a little bit too much if you do Debris and Squirrel Girl. I would say at least one of those two. And then there was actually a version that I covered that didn't have the Super Skrull. I think it was in the top 5 for Morag. So in that video that I did. So I'm gonna add the deck onto the screen really quickly. These are the changes that should be pretty decent. And so you could take out your Cyclops, you could add in Debris, you could add in Khazar, you have the Invisible Woman, that way you can hide your Patriot, your Mystique, those cards. I think this one should be a pretty decent take on it as well. Now this one doesn't build the board as early, so if you're seeing Leech, then you would probably want to angle towards your Brood and your Mr. Sinister to be able to develop your board early. But this one is more so to kind of hide your big explosive last turn play. But this one should work well if you don't have Super Skrull. But it's just not. This one plays a little bit slower than what we're playing right now. Okay, let's jump over into a couple more games. We are slowly gaining cubes, just not very quickly. And we have Freddy again. You said, weird. I swore if you copy Miles and have Quinjet, the copy would be free. For some reason, it still sets it to 1. So any kind of card reduction, it sets it to 1. Because I thought the same thing with maybe like a Sarah. But even then, it still set it to 1. Unfortunately, I do think there could be some cool things to do with Miles, but he doesn't. For whatever reason, he doesn't follow that same track and become free. Patriot is the deck I keep matching against that consistently beats me. Yeah, Patriot, even if they end up enchantressing or using a rogue, a lot of times you can still outpace those cards from what I've been experiencing, as long as you don't stack all your stuff together. At least in this version. There may be some versions that you want to stack all your big plays together, so like the Invisible Woman version. That would protect your Patriot from those enchantresses and from those negative cards. But we're gonna go ahead and play our Shocker and Brood. This will allow us to play Brood into Morag. We do have the extra energy over them in the Superflow, because they played their Scorpion before it revealed. They change it into the Stormed location. And so this is Freddy. He used a lot of on reveal abilities on that last turn. So it was the Star-Lord, it was the Killmonger, it was the Rocket. And so we need to look out for those sorts of plays. And we don't have our Ultron. If we have initiative going to the last turn and we need Misty Knight and we need our other 1-cost cards, then I think we probably fold. So we do have Ultron. Maybe we try it. We have a pretty good lead in Dark Dimension. We have a pretty good lead in Morag. Even if they use a Killmonger and destroy the Misty Knight, I think we might still be able to outpace. Harry, so it does look like we're in a decent spot. But since we matched up against Freddy before, we know he has a Killmonger in his deck. And so that could take out this one, that could take out this one, and he might be able to find a way to push enough power into one of these two locations. He had a Claw, which would push more power into Morag, but he wouldn't be able to do both Claw and Killmonger. Freddy isn't ready. Freddy is not ready. We're waiting. Sasuke, welcome. I'm so glad that you jumped in and joined us. We needed your good luck charm. We've been slowly chipping away at the cubes, but it's been back and forth for a while. So I'm glad you were able to jump in and join us. I hope you're having a fantastic day. Who would you say is better, Bast or Valkyrie? I think they both have very different uses. So I think Bast is great for early game or setting those cards to a higher tempo. So like Adam Warlock, he becomes much more usable. Mr. Negative, he becomes much more usable. But I think Valkyrie has that surprise last turn element that makes her a bigger threat. I don't know that she is as consistently good, and I think that's where Bast's strength lies, is that he's not dependent on what your opponent runs at all. He is very dependent on what your deck build is, whereas a Valkyrie, if they have an Iron Man, if they have a Devil Dino, then setting it to 3 doesn't do as much for you. So Valkyrie becomes reliant on your opponent as well. Killmonger kills the drones? Yeah, TCFY. Killmonger would kill the drones, but I'm guessing he didn't have a way to outpower the Ultron play in the left lane, and so then it wouldn't have mattered that he destroyed the drones. We would lose the right lane, but win the left in the middle. I've been using Rogue and Enchantress versus Patriot. Yeah, and so that can do it, but then a lot of times you commit so many resources to countering those cards that sometimes you lose your value as well. There's been a couple of games where the opponent went out of their way to Rogue and then Enchantress, and I had the Super Skrull, so I was able to get some of that upside anyways. And then they just didn't have their board developed because it was pushing for those counter cards instead. But I do think you can counter it. It's just a lot harder to do consistently. Oh, you said GN, lads. Good night? Sadly, won't be here for the stream today. Gonna have some family time. Oh, okay. I better get positive cubes, though. So, okay, I'm so glad you stopped in anyways. Even though you can't necessarily stay, I am glad you stopped in, and I hope you're having a fantastic day, and I hope you enjoy your family time. What disruptive junk deck would you suggest? Sparky, I really... If you have Absorbing Man, there was one that I ran with Absorbing Man. I'm not sure what we're going to do here, so I'm just going to pass. Ooh, the Leech hurts, but we don't have Patriot yet, so it doesn't hurt as badly. I mean, we could fill this lane and get the free 6-cost card. And then next turn we could do maybe Brood and Patriot, depending on what we draw into. This will get us the free 6-cost card at the very least. Giganto is a big one. But I ran one that runs an Absorbing Man as well as Debris, Green Goblin, Polaris, so that Absorbing Man always has a really good target. And I thought that one worked fairly well for the most part. I think we lose this one. Our Giganto helps us win in the Lechugia, but we don't have any way to buff our cards. So the Leech is frustrating, but a lot of times you can get away with 1 or 2 cube games rather than 4 and 8 cubes, because the Leech you see coming, where after it happens you have a turn to react. And so I don't have as much issue with the Leech. It's just kind of more frustrating than anything. I think your Zero the Hero deck might be good in this meta, because it naturally fits Enchantress. If you're seeing a lot of Patriot, that might be a pretty decent like solution, because it does run the Dracula and the Enchantress, and it has some inherent strengths against last turn like Leech leader plays, because you can absorb power with Dracula. So I think you might be right. I think that might be a good approach. Watch it just be Juggernaut. What, on the last game? And so we've matched up against Astro a lot this season. I think the last deck that I saw them running was a Silver Surfer build. And so our Super Skrull could come in use, could come in handy, but we don't know for sure if we're going to end up needing it. I'm actually going to skip 1-3. We can play some cards, but with Elysium, we can push so much out onto the board so quickly that I don't think we need to force it. And so they did rogue our Patriot. If we can draw Super Skrull, that'll be perfect. Mystique no longer has a great target. I think I'm going to skip 1-4 as well. We have a lot of our like 1-cost cards that we can use. So we're digging for our Super Skrull. Yeah, Rogue is really popular in Silver Surfer builds, or in Mr. Negative Silver Surfer builds. So if they Rogue, we can always end up doing the Super Skrull into the Mystique, which would, I think, blow this one out of the water. That would combat this one. That's not Super Skrull. That's not what we need. I don't want to flood stuff into the Vibranium Mines, though. So I think we play our Shocker, and then I think I'm still going to hold. Super Skrulls really are only out here. They haven't snapped, so they don't have, I don't think, their key idea or their key resources. If we draw into Super Skrull, we have a 1 out of 4 shot here. 1 out of 4 shot, we could do both Super Skrull and Mystique. Oh, no. If you rogue a Super Skrull, does the rogue steal all the Super Skrull's effects? It does. So it would retain the Super Skrull's ability. Zombie. I do like Hawk in Negative Surfer as well. We had the 1 out of 4. We weren't able to get it. It is only 1 cube though, so we can retreat, but there's no way that we can compete against this stacked of a deck. Super Skrull would have been I think our key to a 2, 4, or maybe even an 8 cube win. But since we don't have it, we're gonna fold to the negative Iron Man and Mystique. Yeah, it's only 1 cube. Had they snapped earlier, knowing that we didn't have our Super Skrull in hand, we probably would have folded to the 1 cube loss. Did you get any winter variants? Balint, I did. On this account, I think we actually have the Patriot one. I'll take a look after this one. We got Rock Slide on both this account and our alternate account. On the alternate account, we got a ridiculous amount. We ended up getting the Devil Dino winter variant. We got the Rock Slide. We got Rogue. We got Ebony Maw. And I think we got Patriot as well. We got a ridiculous amount on my alternate account. This one, I think I only got 1 or 2 of them. So I think we do lean into the Gamma Lab. It becomes a Hulk. As long as they don't have a Shang-Chi, then we can just continue to buff up the Hulk. We get more value out of it than they do typically. Would you be interested in doing a video about what cards should be buffed or nerfed, or nerfed, or a more in-depth video about the balance changes once they drop? Yeah, so once the balance changes drop, I do want to do a video covering like what changes they made and what that kind of means for the metagame and what I think we'll see as a result. But as far as before it drops, I think a lot of it, like what should be buffed and nerfed, is really speculative. So it's hard for me to do it's hard for me. I don't know that I would do a video on it before it comes down, because a lot of it is just kind of speculation of what I feel like is really strong in the meta right now. So I think the common ones. I think leader will get nerfed. I think he's a little bit overtuned for how much value he adds. But I don't think he needs like the Mr. Negative like gutted treatment. And then in addition to that, I think Silver Surfer is another one that probably needs to be tuned. +3 bonus to really anything is just insane. And then I know that they said Galactus was on the watch list. Galactus feels really strong, but he's also counterable. And so I don't know. I don't know if that one is just absolutely needed but I know that they said he's on the watch list just because he's so polarizing. That if your opponent develops these two boards and then they drop a Galactus here, then you don't really have a chance to react if you don't have the counters in place. And then buffs. Buffs, I definitely think it's like the same ones that we've seen before. I think Crystal is like the least utilized card that there is. Just because there's really no good way to build her. Black Bolt maybe, but I think it'd be really scary if they ended up buffing him too much, or if they over-tuned him too much. And so we're gonna retreat out of this one. We can't compete with the throne room. We don't have our buff cards. We're gonna jump out of this one. We'll take the 1 cube loss and we'll play the patience game here. Is Hawk worth buying? I got him in the shop. I think he's really good in what he does, but I don't know that I would. If you have a limited number of tokens, I don't know that I would buy him. I think I would probably wait until he drops down. He's good in a couple of decks, but I don't think he is so polarizing that you have to. I don't think he's a have to have type of card. I think a good leader nerf would be only copying the first card they played instead of all of them, or a limited number. But if they do that, I think that completely guts him. I don't think really. I don't think anyone would continue playing leader. Which, I mean, at this point. Oh, Kenny, I'll turn it off. My bad. That's the Snap fan tracker. It just lets me know that the game has been logged. I turned it off, so it won't do it anymore after this game, Kenny. But yeah, I think that would definitely put him like back into place. But I also think that it would really restrict his value, which at this point might be okay. That might be what we need. A leader to 6/6 and only copy the lane he's played in. That could be a way to like buff up his power, but then that also hurts him in negative lists. That could be a way to do it as well. So I think we're going to play Wasp into Stark Tower. I think we lean in with the Brood into Morag to try to find our power over here. I think they only push these 2 lanes. They'll probably push a Destroyer into the Stark Tower lane. And so if we can find a way to outpower that, then we should be okay. Should they take a look at Professor X? I kind of like Professor X the way he is. So he's low power, relatively low power value. But his ongoing ability is something that is, speaking of Professor X, his ability is something that is so strong that it's like you have to. Oh no. That you have to. That it changes the course of the rest of the game. And so the reason I don't have an issue with Professor X is that you have to drop it early. And so if you drop it on 5, you can always retreat out on 6. You don't have to worry about the double stakes. And so I think if the retreat function wasn't in the game, I think Professor X would need to be looked at. But as far as how he is now, I think he's all right. So a Cyclops is 8 power. We have the Destroyer that's going to come down. We should have probably played Wasp into Mojo World, knowing that they could have a Professor X play. We're gonna jump out for the 1 cube again. I just fell from 62 to 57 playing this deck without Ultron and Brood. Oh, Igor. Without the big power push from Ultron, I think Patriot loses a lot of its consistency. So without Ultron, I think I would look at maybe holding off on the Patriot build, at least for a little bit. And I'm sorry that you dropped a couple of ranks. Hopefully you're able to find one that you do have the cards for that will help you build back up. I have a better fix for leader. He only copies the cards for their power and not their abilities. That could work as well. I think there's a lot of creative ways that they can make him work, and make him not feel so bad to go against. So we don't have Patriot in hand yet. We are going to lean into the Gamma Lab. Shang-Chi is not one we've seen very often. Yeah, I had Debris and Khazar instead. Yeah, it's just it doesn't have as much like explosive power. Ultron's reach a lot of times is what allows the deck to really thrive. I don't think we max out the Gamma Lab location, but I do think we send them Shocker. We don't necessarily mind if we send them that resource. If we draw into our Patriot, then that Debris helps us out quite a bit. The problem, yeah, Professor X does kill movement decks, but then again, I guess you throw it into the middle location and there's just no chance. The Heimdall shift just loses all value, and for an archetype that already struggles, but I don't know that you can necessarily stack a card, or adjust a card based off of like one archetype, because every archetype is going to have hard counters. I think movement just has harder counters than others. I don't know that they play any ongoing abilities, but we don't have another or better turn 4 drop. I'm going to go ahead and play our Super Skrull just in case. They play Moon Girl, so they could be looking for maybe a Big Devil Dino. And then I think we angle this, and then maybe next turn we do Ultron, or we can do a Blue Marvel. Yeah, movement is also super weak. Draw order and just initiative order can really tank it, and certain locations. So Fisk Tower can just destroy a movement deck by itself as well. Did I? Oh no! Thank you, Jeff. I forgot. I wanted Morag. I wanted to play something in Morag, but you're right. And I had already locked it in. Soury. It's the same problem as Cerebro decks. It is, except for I think it's like more polarizing. Yeah, the Mystique order in Morag just was unfortunate. We'll do better. We'll do better. I think if movement decks let you choose which direction you want to toss the stuff, I think at that point I think you can use it a lot more strategically. And then Rick, yo, how's it going? It's going okay so far. We've had some ups and downs. The deck hasn't been doing as well as it did during our initial showcase, but it's still not tanking either. Yeah, I do wish there was an undo button. So like if the opponent has not locked in their turn, I wish you could unlock yours and then readjust your stuff. I think that would be a good addition to have into the game at some point. So we are going to lean into the Gamma Lab location. We're going to do our Brood. We have our Patriot this time around. Ooh, they use Wave, so could be a Galactus. The Sunspot, Galactus. Very, very few people are doing both Galactus and Null just because of how rare those two cards, having both those cards are. And so we're gonna go ahead and do Patriot into the Starlight Citadel. But I think if this is a Galactus play line, we just lose. Can't wait until I can play Snap on PC once they get the Apple account linking working. Ben, is it? It's not currently working. I didn't realize there was that issue for Apple accounts on Steam. Hopefully they get it fixed soon. I know that they're working on a lot of updates for it. Just hopefully those come out sooner rather than later. So the Magneto was not terrible for us. We do have the advantage in Mojo World. We can lean into the Gamma Lab location. We have our Wasp. If we draw into our Onslaught, we can do Onslaught plus a Wasp in one of the locations to further buff our cards, since we did not have Mystique here. They have an Arrow, so we do cap out the Citadel. Yeah, Mojo World is stacked. If they have if they do have a Shang-Chi though, then we lose this location. I think we're going to do a Blue Marvel into Misty Knight and our Wasp into Gamma Lab. If they use a leader, then they'll copy this, but they won't get as much value out of these two cards. And we have an extra Hulk over them, so we would win here and here. That's what we're gonna. Never thought I'd see Mojo World full of Hulks. You know, there's always a time and place. You have to expect the unexpected, Q. I think we're gonna play a couple more before we end. I want to get maybe one more good Super Skrull game if we can to end on. It just ends a blank page right now. I know that Steam's version of like the in-game events is also busted, so hopefully they fix all of those in next month whenever a patch rolls out. And Christo, hi sir, love your videos. Thank you so much, Christo. I'm so glad that you're able to jump in and join us. I hope you're having a great day so far. And I'm so glad that you're enjoying the content. I played discard and I got to rank 77, but I can't get over 80. No wonder why nobody you play against seems to play discard. Discard, are you doing the lockjaw rotation version, or are you just doing a direct discard deck? Hansamir, best replacement for Super Skrull. I would say you shift the deck a little bit, but I think Khazar instead of Super Skrull is like the best like one-for-one, the best one-for-one trade. Super Skrull is only useful in, I'd say, less than 5% of games, but the games that he is useful in, he can just absolutely blow it out of the water for you. So I don't think he's necessary by any means in a Patriot build. So we're gonna shuffle our hand back into our deck. I'm gonna go ahead and play Patriot into the cloning vats, and maybe we redraw back into it at some point. But I think we are okay by cloning it, and even if we end up, I don't think it's a wasted draw if we get him back. But yeah, for climbing, being patient is one of the biggest things that you can do. So they do change this location. So we keep the Patriot, we keep the Mystique. I think we're going to play Brood into the flooded lane. Next turn we can do Patriot, maybe even Patriot and Mystique on the last turn to just really elevate those. Yeah, Skrull is weird. It's usually just bad, but sometimes it's completely broken. Yep, that is probably the best way that you could describe Super Skrull. A lot of times he's worse than like really any other alternative that you could have. But on those games where he is good, he's very, very good. I think we play our Shocker, and then we can play our Patriot. We can copy it with Mystique on the last turn. I think we're okay. Even if they go wide, I think by having so many Patriots on the board, we just win. What would you say the best deck right now? I think that one's tough because we're seeing a lot of rapid shifts in the meta. So like what was really good a week or a week and a half ago is not really all that great anymore. But I think the most consistent one has been Death Wave, like the She-Hulk Death Wave archetype. I think has been the most consistently like strong. But I do think the Bast Silver Surfer is probably at the top right now. The Bast Mr. Negative Silver Surfer, it just has so much value that it can push. That I do think that's one of the strongest decks. If you don't have a leech to counter it, it's really hard to combat against even their mid roll. Is Death Wave playable right now because of leader? It depends on what. So depending on what rank you are, there or what rank and what collection, there's been like pocket metas. So like right now, I'm not seeing nearly as many leech or leaders, but some people still are. And so if you're not seeing a lot of leader, and you could always add leader into your Death Wave as a way to counter their leader play. But I think it's playable. You just have to be able to read around what the opponent has. Bast is really expensive for what it does because it's not game breaking. He doesn't break the game wide open, but he does increase the consistency in power of your early game plays quite a bit. But I agree, 6,000 tokens is a whole lot to spend on it. I'm gonna use Patriot. Funnily enough, leader plus death plus She-Hulk loses to just a leader. Yeah, that's true. That's true. I did lose a couple of games like that. Because it copies the leader, which copies the leader again, which then re-triggers your death and your She-Hulk. Yeah, I forgot that interaction does feel very, very bad. So they have the Ebony Maw, the Iron Heart. There's a couple of decks that run Ebony Maw right now. Sometimes they're like a go wide deck. Sometimes they're a leech leader. Sometimes they're a Sandman deck. But I do think the one thing that we want to do for sure is we want to stack our Patriot ability. We do have Ultron, and so I think we can outpace them. They will be able to move their Ebony Maw into New York, but I believe Ebony Maw's ability stays here for that one extra turn until it is completely resolved, and so I don't think we have to worry about that either. Counter style / don't count me out / Megastress style decks are the best for climbing. Just because they're consistent, Zombie Lemon. You have to be patient with them though, because you're not going to win every single game. But the ones that you do, a lot of times it can be big 8-cube games because the opponent's not anticipating the counterplay. And so I agree, those are really strong. And when they work exceedingly well, as long as you can remain patient with them. And as far as the discard meta goes, I think with the next season pass, I think there's going to be a couple ways to build a discard deck that might help revive it. Venom Arnhem combo. They could have, but looks like they're going to go within. Looks like they're going to go with an Odin to re-trigger the on reveal, which would re-trigger these, but then we win here and in Morag. I think we should be okay. Because the Odin play will push another Tiger token, but we have a really strong New York. I guess Killmonger we lose to, right? No, it's the Odin play. Figured it was going to be Lizard and then Venom and then Arnhem after. Yeah. Maybe that's something that they did have in their deck and they just didn't draw into it. But we were able to keep the 4 cubes. That brings us up to 10. Let's play just a couple more before we jump out. I do have to jump back over and take care of a couple of other things. But I have missed streaming. I do like streaming, and I enjoy interacting with you guys where we can. I'm going to try to do another one tomorrow, and I have a build that is pool 2 only cards, so something that is going to be accessible for just about everybody. Yeah, you just have to know when to snap. You can lose 4 games at once, yeah, and then win an 8 cube. Yeah, as long as you can strategically snap and know the strength of your deck, then I think you can climb relatively, even without a 50% win rate. You can still climb, because if you're retreating on those 1 cube matches, but then winning the big ones, those are the ones that can really help propel you pretty quickly. You've played this guy so many times. Flag this ship. I've played him a couple times, but it's been a while since I've ran into him. So we do have the board developed pretty early. Now we're just looking for. Oh well, never mind. We don't have the brood. We don't have the 2 broodlings because of the Cosmo play. But we do know that we can do an Ultron at the end of the game. I don't want to do Super Skrull here because of the Cosmo. It'll copy Cosmo. I think we play our Misty Knight and then we wait and see what gets shuffled into our deck after that. We can draw back into the Patriot plus a Mystique plus Ultron. We have a couple of ways to play that I still think we might be able to win, unless they just have a really strong kind of surprise deck that I'm not. Well, we don't draw into our Patriot, unfortunately. Maybe we top deck into it now. That is the Super Skrull that we still don't want to see. Jack, how do you feel about Uncle Ben? I've never interacted with Ben, but I like his energy a whole lot. And I like the game that he's been able to like envision and create. And so I like Uncle Ben. The only thing that I don't like currently is the card acquisition system. But hey, Jason, how's it going? I hope you're having a great day so far. I'm glad you were able to jump in and join us. We're gonna play the Blue Marvel behind Dark Dimension. Without Patriot, I think we just lose this one. And at this point, even if we draw into Patriot, we may still lose. Can you do a Lockjaw discard deck without Dracula? I think Lockjaw discard... I think Dracula is what really enables a discard deck. So without having Dracula, you're going to have to have all of your discarding done by turn 5, or else that way you can play your Apocalypse, and then that's really susceptible to a leader play. Oh, Uncle Ben. Oh my gosh. We're not talking about Ben. We're talking about Uncle Ben. Oh my gosh. Thank you for... Thank you. I don't know. I don't know how I feel about Uncle Ben. I don't know. I thought maybe for some reason he was just calling him Uncle Ben. We're gonna jump out of this one for 2 cubes. We'll jump back into another one as I try to backpedal. All good. Hope everything is good on your end. Everything's going pretty well so far. But for the card Uncle Ben, oh my gosh. For the card Uncle Ben, I think to have him, it's destroyed, right? Or is it discarded? By being destroyed, he creates the Spider-Man. I think there will be some kind of utilization with him, maybe with a Spider-Man in your deck already. That way you'd be able to lock down a lane on 4 and 5. You could always have, you could almost always have, or reliably have, a Spider-Man to lock down a lane on 5 into 6. So I think there will be some cool control style ways to build around him, but I don't know. It's hard to envision that one. Momo, that's huge. You just pulled, like, you naturally pulled Thanos. I still haven't pulled a Series 5 card. That is huge. There's some really good, speaking of pulling Thanos, we're going against the Thanos list. There's some really cool lockjaw rotation style Thanos builds, and I think he's definitely a unique one that's pretty decent when he works well. Yeah, you can do something similar with Spider-Man and Absorbing Man, but I think that might help it. I think Uncle Ben would help the consistency, because then you can more easily develop that Spider-Man, and you don't have to rely on drawing into it to enable your Absorbing Man. Ooh, the double Jotunheim game could be a possibility. We're gonna go ahead and play one card over there, and we'll see. The Jotunheim is pretty okay. So he uses a Killmonger. He clears out the left and the right lane. If this does turn into Jotunheim, then we're gonna lose more value. Nope, it turns into Icebox, which really hurts our Super Skrull. They really don't want us to play Super Skrull this game. Are there any substitutes for Wave and a Death Wave? Without Wave, it loses a lot of its consistency. Because Wave is what enables your opponent to only drop one card on the last turn, while you drop 2 or 3. So I don't think there's any I don't think there's any great like replacements for Wave. I think that one feels like a core card in the archetype. Hey, you got your second winter variant, and it's Rock Slide. That's huge. Oh, you don't have Rock Slide yet, so now you get to actually use the card along with the variant. That is a pretty cool 2-for-1. We can do Blue Marvel, we can do Wasp and Ultron on the last turn. That's not a great play over into Jotunheim though. We might lose to the Thanos deck. We don't have our big enablers. What does Absorbing Man summon after absorbing Broad ability? I don't know. I don't know what he summons. Hector, hi, cheers from Mexico. I'm so glad you were able to jump in and join us, Hector. I hope you're having a fantastic day so far. Wow, so they just go with a Giganto play. Yeah, we're outmatched here. We could do Ultron and try to win this lane and this one. Since it's only for 1 cube, I'll stick it out. If they snap, we'll retreat. But I do think we lose this matchup. Going into Jotunheim, we're going to lose that matchup against the Giganto, and so knowing that, they'll probably stack a lot of their power into the icebox. The Power Stone is gone already. Oh, with the ongoing ability, so no powerful Thanos. It could still be I guess a regular Thanos and then a bunch of stones. He summons three power broods. So the She-Hulk, is that enough for him? With the buffs on our drones, yeah, it is, isn't it? Yeah. Oh, we should have played the Ultron into the icebox, right? We misread it. We misread the direction. Let's go ahead and play one more, and then I do need to jump back over and take care of a couple other things before it gets too late. But I do want at least one more good. They're both icebox. Okay, so Patriot's been hiding for us lately. And then Infamous Element. Before I end the stream, or I guess after I end the stream, would you, if you're on the Discord, would you shoot me that deck list in a message? I do want to revisit it. And maybe I'll do a mashup between your version and then mine to see how it runs. Now that I'm not seeing Leech as much, I think it might have a pretty decent place in the current setup. We need a petition for a Thanos play effect. It should be a pretty strong. Should be a pretty strong like showcase of his power, I would think. So I agree. So we have Patriot, we have Mystique, and we have our Ultron. I am going to go ahead and snap into that. We have Blue Marvel we can play on turn 5, and then angle to win this lane and this one. Which, as long as they don't lock us out, I think we have a really good shot. With those resources in hand, I think is definitely worth an early snap. I love that I can't drop below 100. You can YOLO a lot more and donate cubes if you lose. That is one of the best things about hitting that ceiling, is that at that point when you're playing, you're either just playing for fun or just testing different things out. And so I enjoy that ceiling as well. It takes the pressure off of your games. I'm gonna lean in with the Blue Marvel. We do have all of our ongoings stacked together, so if they do have an Enchantress for some reason, then we're definitely going to be hurting a little bit. But otherwise, I think we have a really good shot by filling up Morag and finishing off Xandar with the Ultron bot. And if for some reason it doesn't go off, I am going to play Wasp into Morag. It's the same thing as a drone, but if they don't play anything additional here, then our Wasp would be enough to... We could dodge the Cosmo by playing it over here. But yeah, that's what we're playing right now, is dodge the Cosmo. Go left. I already locked in right, unfortunately. Thanos' ability should have been, if all Infinity Stones were played this game, destroy half the cards in play. That would be a pretty cool flavor, Brandon. Just to be like true to like his like cinematic self. That would be a pretty cool flavor on it. So the Killmonger into Brood into Silver Surfer. I think we beat that play line. Oh, maybe not. 2-4, it's 5, so it ties in Morag, but I think we win Xandar by more than they win Asgard. Oh no, it's 6 power drones, so we are fine. We win in left and we win in Morag. That brings us back up to 10. The Wasp doesn't die to Killmonger though. That is very true. The Wasp, but since we didn't have initiative, we knew our Ultron went off after a potential Killmonger. And so with that one, I am going to go ahead and end the video. The Surfer Brood is, I guess the stream, not the video. Surfer Brood is a strong combo. I don't think he got his high roll, but the Patriot was just a little bit too much for him in this matchup. I'm going to go ahead and end the stream here. Thank you guys so much for being here, for sharing in the positivity, for checking out the streams and the videos. I hope that you guys have a fantastic rest of your day. And I hope to catch you guys in either tomorrow's video or tomorrow's stream. Mystical Being, I'm so sorry that you just got here. We are winding down the stream. The video on demand will be there if you if you want to go back and watch it. If not, I hope to catch you in tomorrow's stream. And as always, I hope you guys have a fantastic rest of your day. This has been TLSG. Later, guys.